In case our previous videos on the subject didn't make it evident enough, The Loud House is about as packed with pop culture references as it is with family members, featuring everything from song lyrics to Nicktoons of old to even R-rated films. Hi, I'm Haylizbeth with Channel Frederator, and we've taken the liberty of feverishly searching every frame of the latest batch of the Loud House episodes to find all the references to our wonderful world. Let's get started! Movies. In the episode, Future Tense, when the Loud kids get their 10 hours of sleep for maximum brain growth, Lynn Sr. and Rita settle down to watch a TV show. This show displays scenes from famous movies that are reenacted by cats. The current scene playing is in black and white, featuring a male cat wearing a trench coat and fedora who is about to kiss a female cat in a hat and dress. The announcer refers to the gag as Casablanca, which is a play on the famous Oscar-winning 1942 film Casablanca, starring Humphrey Bogart and Ingrid Bergman. The scene being parodied is one of the film's most iconic scenes. The suave protagonist, Rick Blaine, bids former lover Ilsa Lund a bittersweet farewell as she and her husband board a plane out of Casablanca and out of Nazi pursuit. Additional fun fact, The Loud House is not the first Nicktoon to parody this film, or this scene for that matter. The Fairly Odd Parents previously spoofed it in the episode Where's Wanda? There are also some movie references in the episode Yes Man. The title of the episode is a play on the term yes man, which is used to describe a person who isn't able to reject or say no to anybody and agrees with everything that is said or proposed to them. However, it is also the title of the 2008 romantic comedy of the same name starring Jim Carrey and Zooey Deschanel, in which Jim Carrey's character, Carl, challenges himself to say yes to everything for an entire year. In the same episode, the manner in which Lincoln attempts to swindle his parents for their greed stuff is similar to how Leonardo DiCaprio's character, Jordan Belfort, cons people out of their money in the Martin Scorsese film The Wolf of Wall Street. This makes Lincoln's fourth wall breaks even more fitting than they typically are. The Halloween episode Tricked is pretty much open season for the show's artists to fill the scenes with pop culture references, especially with the costumes that the characters wear. For starters, the bullies wear masks that are identical to that of one of the three mask killers known as Dollface in the 2008 horror film The Strangers, starring Liv Tyler. Another iconic movie mask can be seen on a background extra as Lisa hauls an unconscious Lynn Sr. away in a wagon. The mask appears to be a green variant of the one used by Ghostface from Wes Craven's iconic horror franchise, Scream. To the left of the mask, there's a boy with brown hair, familiar round glasses, a school uniform, and a distinct scar on his forehead. In this day and age, that can only mean a reference to the boy wizard himself, Harry Potter. But perhaps the most famous horror mask of them all can be seen on Lynn, who sports a hockey mask belonging to Jason Voorhees of the legendary horror franchise Friday the 13th. And to analyze even further, Lynn is, in fact, 13 years old, which could very well be a reference to the title of Jason's franchise. This episode also just so happened to be released on October 13th, 2017, which also happened to land on that year's Friday the 13th. Lynn is also given a chainsaw for added measure, which is most certainly a reference to the Texas Chainsaw Massacre's resident bloodthirsty psychopath Leatherface, who, as the title suggests, has a certain affinity for chainsaws. We're not done. When Lincoln and Clyde are baiting the bullies into chasing them through the woods, they hop over a log only for the pursuing bullies to crash through it effortlessly. This little sequence is similar to the chase scene in the Steven Spielberg film Jurassic Park, in which the Tyrannosaurus effortlessly plows through a fallen tree while in pursuit of the Jeep that, as Jeff Goldblum brilliantly puts it, must go faster. TV shows. In the episode No Laughing Matter, the plot borrows heavily from quite a few different shows that preceded to create something purely Loud House. To start, the episode's premise is very similar to the regular show episode Prankless. This episode revolves around the park's resident prankster, Muscle Man, giving up his passion for pulling pranks on his co-workers out of pity. The other characters then strive to reverse this after realizing what it has done to Muscle Man, just like how Lincoln and his siblings strive to reignite Luann's passion for comedy after she realizes how her jokes negatively affect the Loud family. The episode's resolution is almost identical to that of an episode of Will Smith's 90s sitcom The Fresh Prince of Bel-Air, called Ain't No Business Like Show Business. In the episode, Will attempts to get up on stage to do stand-up in front of an audience, but is quick to crash and burn, much like Lincoln. Fortunately for Will, his failure is overshadowed by his comedian friend, Keith, who gets up on stage and saves the routine, similar to Luann getting up on stage stage and bailing out Lincoln. There are also a few Peanuts references throughout the Loud House. And who doesn't love the Peanuts gang? In future tense, when the Loud kids briefly return home from tidying up the interstate, you can see a cloud of filth following them as they walk. This is identical to the signature trait of the Peanuts' filthiest friend, Pigpen, who is always accompanied by a squiggly smog of filth that follows him no matter where he goes. In the episode Tricked, there is a nod to a Nickelodeon show that has passed into the great beyond. The manner in which Lincoln and Clyde pretend to be British in order to trick the gatekeeper is similar to a gag from the Nick sitcom Sam and Cat. The pilot for Sam and Cat featured a gag where the girls pretend to be British in order to get a free car ride. It also references one of our favorite tunes. Remember that Scream mask we mentioned earlier? Well, to the left of this mask, there is a homemade robot costume that closely resembles a fan-favorite character, Invader Zim's zany robot servant, Gurr. And last but not least, if you consider the nature of the song that Luna performs in the Tricked episode, as well as the hijinks that the bullies endure, and that the way the sequence as a whole is animated, it's a clear callback to the famous chase sequences that appeared in just about every episode of the Hanna-Barbera classic Scooby-Doo, Where Are You? He's apparently in the Loud House. Music. The song that plays during the opening title card of the episode Future Tense is a rendition of the famous tune Pomp and Circumstance, though you probably know it as the graduation song. It may have been hard to recognize since it's not an orchestral version, but rather a hard rock variant that Luna would certainly appreciate. Speaking of Luna, in keeping with her tradition of quoting song lyrics, Future Tense also shows her shouting, "We don't need no education," when she is dropped off at Royal Woods Community College. This is a verse from the Pink Floyd song Another Brick in the Wall Part 2. An additional reference occurs in Yes Man during Lily's attempt at bribery. It can be found in the musical track that plays as her cries traverse the stratosphere. It's a song called Tales from the Swamp, which has been used in Nickelodeon's longest-running Nicktoon, SpongeBob SquarePants. Speaking of recycled music, in this episode, Luna yet again recites lyrics from a famous song when she interrupts Lincoln's Skype session, telling him, "You say goodbye, I say hello," a verse pulled straight out of the Beatles song, Hello Goodbye. She simply can't go a moment without appreciating the greats, as she tells Lincoln just a few lines later, "I ain't too proud to beg." She says this as she begs Lincoln for his help in conning their parents for cash. And the line is from the song Ain't Too Proud to Beg by The Temptations. Video games. We all know this game seen in the episode Friend or Foe. In case you haven't played it, you've at least seen people hopping around on it. When Lisa is watching how her family interacts with their friends, Lincoln and Clyde can be seen playing a video game in which they perform rhythmic steps on a floor mat controller, just like Konami's uber-popular arcade game Dance Dance Revolution. DDR still lives! But there's even an old-school video game reference in the Loud House. In the episode Tricked, when the Louds reverse the chase in Lucy's corn maze and Luna's musical number, the bullies are seen being chased by silhouettes of three ghosts that move sideways, almost as if they're 8-bit characters. If you take into account the fact that these ghosts are supposed to be chasing them within a maze, it becomes pretty evident that this is a reference to Namco's legendary arcade game, Pac-Man, whose yellow pizza pie protagonist is constantly being chased by 4 colored ghosts, Blinky, Inky, Pinky, and Clyde. Toys. What's a kid's show without toy references? In Yes Man, Lily uses her unique talent of crying insanely loud to convince Mr. and Mrs. Loud to buy her a talking teddy bear called Teddy Listen. This bear's name, looks, and talking feature resemble that of the hot 80s commodity Teddy Ruxpin. Teddy Ruxpin was an animatronic teddy bear capable of blinking, moving his mouth, and instilling nightmares in the slumber of countless 80s kids. It told entire stories by utilizing an audio tape cassette, which could be inserted into the tape deck awkwardly installed into his backside. Teddy became the best-selling toy in America 2 years in a row in 1985 and 1986, which eventually led to a full-blown franchise that included an animated series. Fortunately for future generations, this gag in the Loud House didn't go any further than a print ad. The title card of the episode, Friend or Foe, features a silhouetted Lincoln and Lisa sitting atop a bench watching the sunset. This snapshot is almost identical to the closing shot of various TV commercials that aired throughout the 80s for the famous toy store Toys R Us, which featured the company's mascot, Geoffrey Giraffe, sitting alongside a little girl on a bench watching the sunset. The musical track that plays also resembles Toys R Us's famous jingle, I Don't Wanna Grow Up. Guess the Louds are Toys R Us kids. Bonus reference. For those of you in the comments section longing for a more obscure costume reference, challenge accepted. While Lenny's costume in Tricked appears to just be a generic depiction of a headless woman, the dress she wears is actually identical to the one famously worn by Marie Antoinette, the notorious Queen of France whose rule came to an abrupt end during the French Revolution. How, you may ask? Decapitation by guillotine. Boom! Once again, I'm Haylizbeth, and thanks for watching Loud House references in the latest episodes. Which is your favorite reference? Did we miss any? Comment below and let us know. Don't forget to click the bell icon to become part of the notification squad. We have videos dropping every day, so make sure to subscribe to Channel Frederator, your cartoon central on the internet.